hear from the public, though we do have a little bit on the agenda before and after. So lucky for you all, I haven't prepared much in the way of remarks. And probably lucky for everybody. But I will just take a moment to remind everyone that this is this year's proposed budget increase is higher than our 10-year average. We have invested significantly in our students in recent years, including enhancements in technology, mental health support, and security. And so we're carefully considering all of the programs and services that we have to ensure the most effective use of our resources while we prioritize student needs. The administration has proposed a budget that reflects their assessment of student needs. We are in the process of thoroughly reviewing this proposal, considering its overall size, alignment with our strategic priorities, and potential adjustments, which may include both additions and subtractions to the proposal. Again, we continue to carefully consider how to best support students within the budget. Some of the major drivers, as we know, are salaries and benefits, increases in special education, many of which have to do with out-of-district tuition placements, which are out of our control. We have no way to regulate tuition at this time. We are tremendously relieved to see Governor Lamont putting together a proposal to do something about that. He's recently committed $40 million to or he's saying he is to increase the pot of money in ECR, which would mean more funding for us, would make a difference to our bottom line. As you all know, we're in a deficit of about $287,000 in this current fiscal year, and we've currently reduced the existing budget by 165 in anticipation of concerns. Hopefully, we can be less concerned. He's also proposing money to local districts to incentivize us to build local programs. Because at the end of the day, as I started, it's difficult to manage out of district tuition because it's not in our control. So one of the best things that we can do and I started with a financial reason, but really the best thing we can do is for our kids' sake, for our community's sake, is bring as many of our kids in-house as we can. And so we greatly appreciate any investment from the state in making that happen. There are other drivers outside of our control. We've had increases in transportation costs. We've had increases in health insurance. And so again, we're looking at everything very carefully. Tonight is the public hearing. Next week is a final vote on the budget. We'll do a little bit of deliberating next week, and then we will vote, maybe more than a little bit. We'll see how we go. So tonight we have a couple of items. The first thing we'll do is have a quick conversation. And then again, we're really here just to listen to you all. And so we'll follow with a few minutes just to ask any additional questions that board members might have based on what they've been hearing this evening. So with that, I'll start with the further review of the 2025-2026 budget. And I want to start with making a couple of notes. Number one, I've talked to a lot of you, and I think it's important for us all here at the table to understand that the majority of this board does not support increasing the class sizes for budgetary reasons. So that is not something that we're going to discuss further. I think also I wanted to ask administration to take a look at the spreadsheet and to look at the para lines. The majority of the board is interested in maintaining some sort of paraprofessional model in the schools. And so we'd like to understand the impact of 2 paraprofessionals and an intern to cover the absences. Because as we understand it, if 25% plus of each paraprofessional is covering absences, we'd like to ask what it would look like to have someone specifically dedicated to do that and having the rest of our paras ideally focused on truly serving as instructional aides in the classroom. I'll take a moment to repeat that when we're talking about the 3 paraprofessionals currently in the building, we are referring to paraprofessionals who are assigned to support specific classrooms, typically in kindergarten and first grade. We are not talking about any paraprofessional who is specifically assigned to a student to meet their specific needs as identified in an IEP or individual educational IEP, surely, individual education plan. Thank you. I kept wanting to say placement. Okay. Any questions about either of those 2, paras or class size? Or further comment?
Jill, I just want to clarify, you
Yes.
said 2 paras and an intern. I would also
Yes.
like to 2 paras and another, whether that's a building sub or something, just to understand what the best use of that extra person would be.
Okay.
And that would be per school.
Per school, yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay. All right, with that, we're here to hear from the public. So I'll move on to agenda item number 4, the public hearing on the 2025-2026 superintendent's proposed budget. And I'll turn it to Sarah to run the actual sign-in and Cass.
We have a list. Thank you for signing up.
Wonderful.
If you haven't signed up, we will just go through the list, and then if there are others, we can just as we do in regular public comment. First on our list is Crystal Hill. So I'm going to go through the list first and then catch any others.
Crystal Hill, CDSP Chair. First, a sincere thank you to Dr. Adley, members of the administration team, and the Board of Ed for the time and thoughtful consideration that you have put into this budget process. I am here tonight with representatives from each school's PTO and the CDSP Executive Board to summarize what we are hearing from our school communities. While Darien has many assets, most would say that the schools are our crown jewel. The excellence of our district is a key driver for why many choose to live here. But we hear from parents that they are now deeply concerned about some of the proposed reductions to the budget. You have received detailed explanations about these concerns by email and public comment, so we will not repeat what has already been said. Instead, we want to make it clear that we support a budget that reflects the values of our school district and prioritizes the needs of our students and staff. We support smaller class sizes that provide a better environment for all learners to thrive. We support the retention of instructional paraeducators in our elementary schools. Like small class sizes, they are fundamental in creating a classroom that works for all students. Paras offer much needed support to our teachers who are already stretched thin. We support maintaining an effective administration structure at the secondary level, one that strives for academic excellence, provides support to teachers, and is responsive to assisting parents and students with curriculum issues. We support prioritizing the mental health of our students. Programs like the Wellness Center and Teen Talk have been valuable and well-utilized initiatives and are achieving their intended purpose. Let's continue to be proactive. It's not just parents who are concerned. Paraeducators and teachers have voiced their opinions, and seasoned administrators from all school levels stood unified together just last week to share their concerns. We should listen. Dr. Adley has even suggested that he would not have proposed all the reductions in this budget if there were not budgetary constraints. We understand the Board of Ed has a fiduciary responsibility. You have been provided with budgetary guidance and are balancing many considerations. Thank you for digging deep to look for efficiencies that would keep this budget lean while maintaining our high educational standards. However, parents are increasingly concerned that there are not enough non-student facing efficiencies to meet this budgetary guidance. So I will reiterate what we have spoken to throughout this process. The focus of your decisions must be to be prioritizing education, not hitting a targeted budget number. In summary, we stand in front of you this evening to ask that you please support a budget that meets the needs of our students and helps retain our talented teachers and staff. While fiscal responsibility is important, it cannot come at the expense of the well-being of our students and educators. Our children deserve a budget that invests in their future, not one that compromises it. Our parent community is highly engaged and will continue to advocate for a budget that maintains the high quality of education we expect in Darien, and we hope that you will do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elena Dunduvin.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to speak about process. In direct contrast with what Jack Davis, Jim Pelham, and Jill McCammon have said in the public meetings discussing the budget, as per the Connecticut General Statutes, Title 10, Chapter 170, the boards of education don't have any fiduciary responsibility with the town, no fiscal responsibility. There are multiple problems with the process. On January 4th, Jack Davis said he discussed the budget with Jill McCammon. I could not find such a meeting anywhere in the public record. The same day, Jack Davis also said, quote, "We're giving you another whole number," while talking about a maximum number the Board of Finance and the RTM have given to you for the budget. There's no record of the RTM meeting and deciding to give a maximum budget to the Board of Ed. So finally, November 26th, Jim Pelham showed up here Board of Education meeting and approached the board members of the record and provided a guidance. In case some of you don't know, that is not appropriate. All this and other incidents make me question if the budget is being decided behind closed doors in violations of the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act, and you are all just bowing to the pressure from Jack Davis and Jim Pellin. Your only responsibility is with the kids. Everybody has said it. But going back to the process, there is something even more problematic than all the discussions behind closed doors. The actions of this board during the budget process have put this community under tremendous emotional distress, as evidenced by all the concerned parents, residents, and kids who have been here past their bedtime, begging you to protect their schools. It has added anxiety, anguish, and distress to a community who has struggled with mental health for years, all for no reason. There is no financial hardship in Darien. Both Jack Davis and Jim Pellin approved $2 million for a landscape design of Great Island last year, $2 million for a shiny presentation, while they cut the Board of Education budget by the same $2 million. The town spent $180,000 just on the tree warden. That's what he makes. That's what he made last year, 180 grand. Apparently, the town they understand inflation because they increase the budget of town hall more than the Board of Education because of inflation, but they don't apply inflation to the schools. Tonight, I ask you to do the right thing and stop the emotional distress this process is imposing in our community and protect our schools. We, the parents, seem to have exhausted all non-litigation related means to make you understand we want the schools properly funded. We don't want any more cuts. We want to add programs to prepare our kids for the challenges and opportunities of the time, like artificial intelligence, like all the exciting things are happening. We want more programs. We don't want less. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ninu Sharma. Ms. Sharma?
Nino, did you sign up?
No? Okay, one more. Kelly Scallon?
Good evening. I'm Kelly Scallon, one of the DHS Parent Association co-chairs. There are a few proposals to cut programs that are vital to the high school community that I will address tonight. But first, I'd like to begin with a question. Do you know what the mitochondria in a cell do? In sixth grade, they learn that they are the powerhouses of the cell, where energy is released after breaking down glucose. In 12th grade, they know that they are the site of the cellular respiration, a complex set of biochemical pathways and chemical reactions and production as energy source for cellular reactions. What connects the two? The department chairs. The department chairs work behind the scenes to ensure the continuity of their discipline's curriculum from the start of sixth grade all the way through high school graduation. Just because we don't see the work directly doesn't mean that it isn't vital to the excellence of our schools. We've moved away from the stipended teacher structure because it was not delivering what we had hoped for. There was no connection between the middle school and the high school. There was no system for evaluating teaching within the discipline, and there was no departmental support for teachers who needed assistance. Consolidating the department chairs will erode the process we've made. Secondly, the Wellness Center. The department chairs may be behind the scenes, but the Wellness Center is right at the center of what we've been doing to support our students' mental health. The director isn't just a random adult sitting in a room. She is carefully planning outreach to the students and stress relief for them all. She provides a soothing spot for students to disconnect from their anxiety and their devices and connect with each other and her. When she is their trusted adult at the school, she can talk to them and refer them to counselors if needed. In its second year, more and more kids are using the Wellness Center. Let's not cut off funding for it, just at the point it's starting to bear fruit. As for the elimination of another campus monitor, I don't understand how this aligns with our security plan for the high school. We have a large spread out campus and fewer monitors will mean a less safe campus. They are already spread thin. Finally, I want to note that some of these proposed cuts go right to the heart of what we as a community claim that we value: academics, mental health, and safety. If those are what we actually value, we shouldn't be cutting them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Arlie Carr Harris.
My name is Arlie Carr Harris. I live in Wilton, and I've been at Tokenique for 9 years, with the first 6 in second grade and the last 3 teaching first grade. I'm here this evening to speak about the impact of removing instructional aids from the classrooms in the Darien Public Schools. As an educator, I'm frequently considering the needs of my students, from the highest achievers to the students who strive to meet the benchmark and all those who are in between. On a regular basis, educators review formal and informal data to target the small groups necessary to meet the needs of students. At any given time after that data review, we are looking at 4 to 5 small groups to run per content area in the elementary grades. One of the ways we can meet those needs is with the help and expertise of our instructional aides. Many of our instructional aides have years of experience working with children, making them an invaluable resource to not only the classroom teachers, but in turn the students. Additionally, they are tasked with the responsibility of transferring their skills across grade levels and content areas, meaning they are versatile, adaptable, and knowledgeable about all that is happening across the school K through 5. They run small groups and provide targeted instruction that classroom teachers have curated, and then give feedback to students across all content areas. They collect data for teachers about the groups they work with so that classroom teachers may consistently and frequently adjust instruction to continue meeting student needs. Without this support for classroom teachers, less children will receive targeted instruction they need to grow as learners. Therefore, future targeted instruction will happen less as well, impacting the overall learning and achievement of students. Our instructional aides also support and offer sensory breaks for students who need them. They help teach students about noticing when their bodies need a break, ways to advocate for themselves, and what works best for them as learners. This promotes self-awareness and autonomy, tenets of our vision of the graduate. Without this support, teachers would be attempting to address these needs while maintaining the learning environment, a considerable feat when working with 23 to 24 children per class. Instructional aides also help solve social, emotional, and behavioral needs of students, which have grown exponentially in the last 2 to 3 years. Instructional aides support teachers and students in this work by addressing social issues that arise so that students learn the necessary and invaluable skills of communication, problem solving, and consideration of others. Instructional aides help students solve conflicts in respectful, articulate, and productive ways so teachers can maintain instruction. Please keep these invaluable educators who we work in tandem with to give the best possible education to the students of the Darien Public Schools. Thank you. Thank you.
Jan Raymond.
Thank you. My name is Jan Raymond. I live on 11 Waverly Road. I am a graduate of the Darien school system, and my sons are both graduates of the Darien school system. I'm also one of those people who moved back to Darien because I valued what was going on in the schools, and I knew my children would get an education that I could be happy with, and they would be successful having had that education. I'm here also because I think it's important that people understand the way I feel and the way I know many other people feel. This is an investment, not just in our kids, not just in our community, but personally for people my age. I know that the investment that I made in my house was one of the biggest investments, probably the biggest investment we ever made. I know that if I should decide to move, as many of my friends have, out to Ohio to be with their grandchildren, out to Maine, out to all different kinds of places, and they sold their houses. Who bought their houses? The people coming in who moved to Darien because of the schools. So I just wanted to make the point that many of us who are my age recognize the fact that this school system is important, not just for the children, not just for the future of Darien, Connecticut, and the rest of the world, but to us personally, because this school system increases the values of the property that we own. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen. Liza Lucas.
Good evening. I'm Liza Lucas. I'm the chair of the RTM Education Committee, and I'm speaking on behalf of our committee this evening. Once the Board of Education adopts a budget and the Board of Finance has approved the same, our committee is tasked with the final step in the budgetary process, whether to recommend the education budget to the full RTM for approval. It is with this extraordinary responsibility that we would like to publicly share our thoughts about the 2025-26 budget. We believe that the schools should be properly funded to provide an outstanding education that not only meets the baseline needs of our students, but as our educational philosophy states, promotes excellence. We saw for the first time in our memory, every single school principal in the district participate in public comment last week, asking the administration and the Board of Education to advocate for a budget that will allow our schools to continue their current ability to deliver an excellent education. For example, the proposal to replace 3 experienced paraeducators with 2 student interns will result in cost reductions, but also a reduction in services provided to both students and teachers. The effects of such a change could be amplified not only by removing experienced paraeducators, but also by removing 2nd and 3rd grade teachers and increasing these class sizes, thereby giving the classroom teachers more students to teach and less resources. More broadly, our committee notes that cost centers largely out of the school district's control, namely health insurance, special education, and transportation, have been growing at unsustainably high 8% annual rates over the last number of years, and now together constitute about 42% of the budget. These cost centers are crowding out the ability of the administration and the board to consider new initiatives, and we strongly urge Dr. Adley and the Board of Education to engage with the Board of Finance to consider these accelerating cost trends and to defend the position that the education budget is in need of funding in excess of the suggested 3 to 4% guidance. And as the board considers its final adds and cuts, our committee would recommend adding participation fees, hopefully temporarily, to reduce budget numbers. In addition, we would support reduction in catering expenses, administrative retreat costs, and convocation budgets. It may also be prudent to defer proposed additional professional learning from the current budget. Finally, we're hopeful that the budget process can proceed in a collaborative manner that results in a budget that meets the needs of all students and teachers and supports the delivery of an excellent education. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That's the last person on our list. Are there others in person that would like to speak?
Good evening. I'm Curtis Butler, live at 137 Hollow Tree Ridge Road. And I'm here essentially, I'm a member of the RTM and also the RTM Education Committee. You just heard from our chairperson. But I'm really here to weigh in and demonstrate my support for this body and for Dr. Adley and the administration and all of the faculty and teachers and staff in our schools. I've lived here for 11 years and have witnessed so many times the incredible passion and commitment to our children that is demonstrated throughout our schools. And also, despite the fact there is often a lot of pushback against changes or proposals in the budget, I don't think anyone can doubt the commitment of this body and the commitment of the personnel in our district to our kids. The fact that you all on this board give so much of your personal time to devote to doing the right thing by our kids is not lost on us, and it's certainly not lost on my family. So thank you for your commitment. I would also echo the comments from Ms. Lucas, our chairperson, and perhaps offer a little bit of support, that you have the support of this town, many people in this town, to push back on what has become an arbitrary number from the Board of Finance. 3 to 4% is becoming a little bit of a tiresome echo. It doesn't reflect anything that's happening in the real world or anything that might be happening in the district. So we are behind you, and we will support you in pushing back against those arbitrary numbers, the 3 to 4% guidance that seems to be something we hear every year. Now, as a person who came from a finance background, that may sound a little odd. But the fact is, we want to do right by this town and right by the children of this town. And that sometimes means we can do that within that 3 to 4% constraint, but sometimes it doesn't. So recognizing that you have our support, you certainly have my support. And then finally, on the subject of the wellness center, this town made a determination in recent history that it was extremely important for us to support mental health initiatives in our schools. We had a mini crisis on our hands, and we took decisive action and well thought out action. So it would seem a little bit careless and certainly premature to be cutting back in that area. And for those who are in favor of cutbacks in our mental wellness, mental health services in the schools, I would say this: think of them like insurance. You have fire insurance on your home. Just because you haven't had a fire in the past year doesn't mean you should cancel your insurance.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you very much.
Without any further in-person comments, if anybody online would like to participate in the public hearing, please use the raised hand icon and wait to be recognized. We have no raised hands at this time.
Okay, thank you. Give it just another second. Are there still no raised hands, Cass?
No
Okay.
raised hands.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight, and to those of you who spoke or contributed to those who spoke. I'll move on to further review of the 2025 budget and discussion of fiscal year 26 proposed budget modifications under consideration. Again, the purpose of tonight is primarily to listen to the public. So I would say most of the focus of the questions tonight would be if you have a question based on something you heard tonight in the hearing, if you want to go over one of the new answers that we have, or if you have an additional inquiry. That I'll open it to the board. Okay. All right. I'll thank you all. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn. That is John, seconded by Greg. All those in favor? That's everyone. And I thank you.